Your Honor, I'm sorry about that. I was just finishing up with a consultation. Time kind of got away from me.
All right. So where do we stand right now?
I believe we're here for temporary orders.
Okay. And
Glenn and Brandy Matula. We have a 16-year-old boy, and I believe both parents are asking to live in the home. My client's living there right now with his son, but I believe Brandy Matula is asking for the same thing, that she be allowed to live in the home with son. And Ms. Wheatley, did I get that right?
You sure did. So we, as Abel said 16-year-old son. They have an older child, but she's an adult. And my client moved out of the marital residence in October and has lived outside the marital residence since then. Father's made a request for you to interview the son. He's 16 years old. He has no special needs. He's in school. He's a smart kid, nice kid, no behavioral or medical issues. There's been infidelity on both parts. My client will tell the court that she moved out to try to preserve her relationship with her son, and that she's been verbally abused in front of the child, the 16-year-old, by her husband. She wants to try to co-parent. She wants to try to figure out how to undo the alienation that has taken place by the father. And we've got some evidence to present on that point. We've only, he's 16. There's just a few more years to go until he's an adult and hopefully off to college. This is a 27-year marriage. We would agree, no paramours around the child. We have as our Exhibit 5 a summary of our requested relief. I don't mean to go on, but I will say that Brandy, my client, will tell you if you interview the child, he's going to say that he goes to school now, he drives, he has a job at Whataburger, that he wants to stay in the home. That's where he's comfortable, that he has all of his things there. But my client believes that unless she's allowed back in the home with her son, that their relationship will be forever destroyed.
We can agree to some of that, Your Honor. But as far as alienation and infidelity and such, we of course deny those allegations. But we do have 16-year-old boy here in high school, works, drives, and we asked the court to interview him. Our motion's been filed.
All right, and we just sent a copy of your counter. Oh, here's your exhibit, okay.
I think we need to send ours to the court.
And I have the petitions, it's just.
Yes. And I think ours somewhat, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I believe that, yes, council has sent me a requested relief for temporary orders, and we have countered with our own. And it pretty much mirrors Ms. Wheatley's request, with the exception that instead of mother, it's father. And where do I send it to? I can send it to the court right now.
If you would just post it to me in chat, that would be good. If you go to chat and then click on everyone, so everyone has the same opportunity, they ought to have a little option that comes up to the far right-hand side at the bottom that says file, and you can attach the file.
Okay.
A couple of other things that might help the court. I understand that father carries the child on insurance, so that would remain the same. I think we both agreed that the parent not in possession of the child can have communication with the other parent between 7 and 8. That's number 7 on my requested relief. So I think when we look at probably 6 through 10 on my requested relief, those are all agreed. It's just a matter of here on temporary orders, who's going to be in the home and so forth. In terms of finances, my client would ask that if she's allowed to move into the home, that father pay the mortgage, which is about $13.50 per month. That is, her husband has been providing her with $880 per month. So if she's allowed back in the home, she would ask that her husband pay the mortgage and continue with the $880 per month.
And of course, up to this time, the husband has been paying the mortgage. He's been staying at the home. He pays all all of the expenses, and that is correct. He has been giving his wife about $880 a month to supplement her pay um, on a monthly basis.
Okay, and are the parties in agreement on how much the income to each spouse is?
We are, Judge. Their income statement, we believe, is accurate.
And I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen ours?
All I've seen is a bunch more things been sent to me, is Respondents Exhibit 5. Was it filed with the district clerk?
The exhibits were not, and
Okay.
the expense sheet was not, but at this time, let me ask Ms. Cazero to put 1, 2, 3, and 4 into chat, please, for the court. Ms. Cazero works with me.
And I just got number 4.
And Ms. Matula, will you turn on your video, please? And Mr. Dominguez, we sent our income and expense sheet to your email yesterday. It's number 4.
Yes, ma'am, I received that. And I believe that we have, there were 3 exhibits on our part that we had sent to you. And I believe you have received them as well. We're just trying to get them to the court right now.
And Your Honor, if this helps, Mr. Dominguez and I have agreed, I've agreed that his 3 exhibits will be admitted without objection. And I believe that Mr. Dominguez has agreed that my 5 exhibits will be admitted without objection, if that helps the court.
All right, I'm sure it does. All right.
And ours is going to go in just a second here, Your Honor.
All right, I have the Respondents Exhibits 1 through 5. Mr. Dominguez, were you able to find the chat function and how to post files there?
I found the chat function, or my secretary did, but it's not allowing us to.
Okay, sometimes you have to slide your mouse cursor around and go to something that has 3 dots that says more. And sometimes when you click on that, it'll bring up the file function.
All right. What I've been doing.
It's all here.
Mr. Dominguez,
Yes, ma'am.
I can send them to Ms. Kazaro and see if she might be able to load them if you would like while y'all are working on that.
Yes, would you please?
Yes, sir.
I would appreciate that.
You bet. 1
I
second.
don't know what's happening here.
No problem.
I'm gonna try something.
All right, and each spouse have their own automobile?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and what sort of automobile does Mr. Matula have?
One moment, Your Honor.
And let me go ahead and ask the parties.
Yes.
Ms. Matula, are you able to turn on a video wherever you are?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yours is on. I'm talking to Brandy Matula.
I'm having troubles having mine come up, sir.
Okay, it doesn't show that it's off. It doesn't, all right. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you may give in the matter now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
I do.
Matula? All right. And what sort of automobile is in your possession?
Me, sir?
No, Mr. Matula.
I have a 2020 Toyota Tundra.
And is there another automobile that
My son drives a 2021. Yes, sir. My son drives a 2021 Tacoma.
so you have a 2020 Toyota Tundra?
Yes, sir.
We don't know why, Your Honor, but it won't attach to the file documents that we have.
All right, I think Ms. Corzero is going to post it. Is that Tacoma or Tacoma?
I believe it's Tacoma, TA.
Okay. I spelled it both ways and it looks wrong both ways. I'll leave it at TA.
Okay, so we have forwarded now, I forwarded everything I have 1 through 3 to Ms. Kazaro, and she's going to try to upload them now to the court.
Thank you. All right, and let me ask, what sort of camper is this?
There is a 2020 hideout camper that my client would like awarded to her. She pays the bill on it, but I think it's one of those pop-up campers.
I believe that is correct, Your Honor. Ms. Matula has it in her possession, and she wants to keep it. And I don't believe my client has any objection to that. The payment is about $250 a month.
All right, so you were going over earlier what was agreed to is 13 and 14, 15, 13 through 16 all agreed to also? Or at least 13 through 15?
13, 14, 15, 16. That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, and how about number 11?
Mr. Dominguez, that's the loving and caring order.
Oh, of course.
Right.
That is agreed to.
All right, and you said that 6 through 11 and 13 through 16 are agreed to.
Correct.
All right, and the petitioner's exhibits haven't come across yet. Right, and what sort of retirement does Mr. Matula have?
He has a military pension, Your Honor.
Okay.
Receiving military pension of $1,752 a month and VA disability pay of $3,406 a month. Plus, he also receives Social Security at the rate of $1,543 a month. And I believe as a product of that Social Security, their son, Dallin, receives $771 a month.
All right, Ms. Kazaro, are you going to be able to post the petitioner's exhibits?
Judge, she will. She's having to convert them from Word to PDF.
Oh, okay.
So it's just taking a little bit longer than we would have liked.
I appreciate her doing that for us, and you as well, Ms. Wheatley.
No problem.
All right, and who is paying the child's auto insurance?
Good question. But I believe it's Mr. Matula who's paying the vehicle insurance that's right now.
All right, because Brandy Matula had indicated like $70 a month, but
That's for her insurance. I believe that the father is paying the child's insurance. That's my understanding.
let's see, I've got a 14-year-old. If she's paying $70 a month for a 16-year-old, I want to know.
Well,
Okay,
it may
do
be
you
the
know how
difference
much that is?
between a girl and a boy, Judge.
Yes. All right, Mr. Matula, how much is the auto insurance on, is it Dallin?
Your Honor, I believe with all the discounts for the good grades and the drive safe programs and everything he did, I believe it's around $75 additional to what I'm paying on the vehicle already, which was $100 a month. So $175 a month.
Okay. Okay, now I have exhibits popping up here. Let me download those. Okay, are both sides ready then?
Ready, Your Honor, yes.
We're ready, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Whitley.
Your Honor, I believe we're the respondent in the
Oh, I'm
case.
sorry, you're right. I don't know why I did that. Mr. Dominguez, go ahead, sir.
Not a problem, Your Honor. Mr. Matula, are you unmuted? Okay. All right, would you state your full name for the court, please?
Glenn Franklin Matula,
Mr. Matula, where do you live right now?
272 Saddle Lane, Floresville, Texas, 78114.
How long have you and your wife lived there?
Since October 31st of 2017.
Okay. That's when the two of you bought the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the monthly payment on the house?
Close to $1,400 a month, sir.
Okay. And who lives there?
I live here, sir.
Okay. Who do you
With
live with? Anybody else live with you?
Our 16-year-old son lives with me.
Okay. All right. Do you currently know where your wife lives?
Yes, sir. I believe she's living with her brother in Elmendorf.
Okay. And how long has she been living there?
Since October 16th, 2020, sir.
All right. Now, the two of you separated, I'm assuming separated October of 2020. Where has your son been living this whole time?
He's been living with me.
Okay, they're at the residence.
Yes, sir.
All right. So far as the relationship between your son and your wife, do you think it's a good relationship?
Absolutely, sir. She's a very good mother. There's no problems with the relationship, and he's been allowed to go visit her anytime he wanted since she's been gone. And in fact, he spent Thanksgiving with her, and he's actually driven over to his uncle's house to spend time with her several times, or also met her at a couple of eating places. So I believe they have a good relationship.
Okay. And as far as you don't have any kind of set schedule, does your son just go when he wants to?
No, sir. No, he has a curfew as a 16-year-old and driving. He can't be out after midnight. Plus, I have boundaries that he can't cross as far as that goes. When he works, he can come home right after work, but he's supposed to come straight home. But I don't let him come and go as he pleases. No.
All right. Where does he work at?
He works at Whataburger right across from the high school in Floresville.
Okay. And working at Whataburger doesn't take away from his studies, anything like that?
No, sir. He's had very good grades.
Okay. Now, but as far as going to see his mom, during regular hours and such, is he, well, let me ask you this. In how far do you think it is from your home to Elmendorf where his uncle lives or where his mom lives?
I believe it's less than 15 miles. It takes about 15 minutes to get there.
Okay. So if he wants to go see his mom, there's no problem going back and forth?
No, sir. He's already gone over there a few times. I have no problem with it. And when it comes to his mother, he can go see her anytime he wants. And in fact, I've even told him he could live with her if he wanted to. He's 16. He can make his own decisions.
All right. So you've told him he can live with you, but he's been staying with you.
Yes.
Do you know if he has, only if you know, do you know if he has any plans on going to live with his mom?
Objection, hearsay.
Overrule the objection.
Only if you know.
If I know that he wants to live with his mother,
Yes, sir.
no. He has told me that he wants to live with me, and I even asked him if I moved
No,
out.
I'll
and lived in
sustain the objection with that answer. So,
All right.
Okay.
Anyway, you've answered enough, just what you know. Now, when you separated, did your wife take anything that she wanted with her? Personal belongings, clothing and such?
Absolutely, yes, she did.
Do you expect a long-term separation?
Honestly, I did not expect it to be long term. I was hoping she would come back, and I actually begged her to come back, and she never wanted to talk about it. To this date, she don't want to talk about it. So there's nothing I can do.
All right. What was the reason for, well, let me ask you, did the two of you argue in front of your son?
Yes, Your Honor. Or yes, we did. I did.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So your son knows everything that's going on, I'm assuming.
It was hard to hide it from him.
just a moment, I'm sorry.
Yes, he knows most of what's going on. Yes.
Okay. What was the reason for the separation?
Over the last year, she completely changed to what she was doing. She started disappearing, turning off her phone. And I would ask her where she was, and she'd tell me I wasn't her daddy, that she has a daddy, that I'm not the boss of her. I suspected that something was going on, and whenever I pressed the issue, she left. She left the marital home, and she hasn't wanted to talk about it since she left.
Okay. Do you know whether or not, what do you mean by something going on? Let me ask you that one.
Well, after she left, she started sending pictures of her blowing kisses 4 days after she left. A partial nude photo. She emailed them to herself, so I assumed it was to log on to another device and send them from there, so I wouldn't know who she sent them to. Plus, I opened a bill, and she had booked a motel room like 5 miles away from her brother's address. And I knew the writing was on the wall. I knew what was going on, but she would never tell me.
Okay. You mentioned something about a motel room. Our exhibit number 2 that we provided to the court and to Ms. Whitley to review is a copy of an Alaska USA Federal Credit Union card or statement. What exactly does that show? Does that show motel rooms?
Yes, sir. It shows
Right.
the one motel room with her dad when she went to visit her dad, but the other one is Days Inn at Elmendorf, which is only 5 miles from where her brother's house is that she's staying, that she booked. And I never opened that bill before, but I opened it that one time and I saw it on there. So
Do you have any idea what that was all about?
she claimed that she did it just to mess with my mind, just to say that that I was watching her and she did it just to torture me.
Do you believe that was the actual reason?
No, sir, I do not. Not for 1 second, because I've never opened that bill before. And why would she wait 2 weeks for me to find the bill and open it to say, got you?
Okay. All right. Have you in any way been unfaithful to your wife?
In our first marriage, I was back in 1995. That's the last time I was unfaithful to her. This marriage, when we got remarried, I told myself that I would never do that again because it hurt the other party involved. And I've been totally faithful since then.
Okay. Now, one thing to clarify things, you had married, and are you saying that you were married and you divorced and you remarried Miss Matula again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When were you divorced?
Why or when?
No, when?
1998.
All right. And when did you remarry?
We were separated total for 6 months. The divorce was final in 98 and we remarried in August of 98.
Okay. And that marriage has continued.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in our exhibit number 1, this is a breakdown, and this I provided to the court and to Miss Whitley. It's a breakdown of how much money you get from your disability and the bills that you pay. Do you have a copy of that in front of you?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. All right, but it's something you provided to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how long have you been receiving this military pension pay?
Since 2013, when I retired.
Okay. Is that when everything started? Military pension, VA, disability, and Social Security?
The military pension was immediate. The VA was within a month, and then the Social Security applied for was probably 3 to 4 months after that.
And you received that from your son also received Social Security as part of your
Yes, as part of the family.
benefit.
As part of the family rate, he does. If Brandy didn't work, then they would split that amount in half, if you had more than one kid, they split it between all of the family members. So because Dallin is the only one that is the only family member, then he gets the full portion.
Okay. In our exhibit number 1, there's breakdown of all the bills and the income that you have. That was put together by you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All of the house bills, who pays all the bills for the house? The house
I do.
payment, the mortgage and such.
I do, sir.
Okay, and have you continued to do that since the time of your separation?
Yes, I have.
Now, you're at the house, you've been at the house since you bought it. Do you want to stay there?
Yes, I do. I can't afford, if I had to leave the house and continue paying for the house, I would have to live in a tent because I don't have any family members within 130 miles of this location.
All right. All of the personal household bills, credit cards, furniture, all that stuff, do you pay it all?
I pay probably over 80% of everything. I only gave her a few bills, and only the ones that were in her name only.
Okay. What bills are those? Can you remember them?
Dillard's, JCPenney's, her vehicle, her Alaska FCU credit card and overdraft, the Lowe's card, furniture row for some furniture, her care credit for her dental care, and our daughter's dental care, and the RV.
All right. You're saying that despite her paying all of that, you still pay 80%. Are the two of you overwhelmed with debt?
Unfortunately, we are.
Okay. Now, the two of you also have a large collection of guns. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
How many guns do the two of you have?
I have, I believe, 10, and I believe she has 9. I split them up. I already gave her her nine firearms, and she has them in her possession.
Now, Your Honor, what I have marked as exhibit number 1, exhibit number 2 are items that we've been talking about here. I asked that these be admitted to evidence. I think that Ms. Wheatley didn't have any objections to those.
Both sides have agreed that respondents 1 through 5 and petitioners 1 through 3 will be admitted?
Correct, Your Honor. Correct. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then all 8 are admitted into evidence without objection.
All right. So you're saying that if you weren't living in the home, you'd have to live in the tent?
It would be hard for me to afford an apartment or anything like that if I had to pay the mortgage and all the bills for the house on top of giving her $880. I wouldn't have any money left to afford to live anywhere, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Are you asking the court to allow you to keep living there with your son at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about any kind of, if the court were to allow you to stay there, what about any kind of support, child support?
I have not received any support from my wife since she has left.
Okay.
In fact, she kept our stimulus as well when I asked for it.
All right. And how much was that?
$600 for me and $600 for Dallin.
Okay. Who provides medical support for your son? Is it through your military retirement benefits?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's through TRICARE.
Okay. And you want to continue doing that?
Yes, sir. I would never stop doing that until he ages out.
Okay. Are you asking the court to appoint you as you and your wife as joint managing conservators? You both have rights as parents for your son, but for you to also be appointed the conservator who has the right to determine where your son is going to live?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And of course, you want him to stay in the home?
Yes, I do.
All right. If where does your wife work?
She works at Hessel Bean Tire Southwest in San Antonio off of Kirby and 410.
Okay. Do you know if she has any kind of retirement there?
She has a 401k through the company, yes.
Okay. And one other thing I forgot to ask you about, on your expenses, do you have any, we know you receive all these benefits and such, but do you have anything separate like a 401k or a Roth IRA, anything like that?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. You rely strictly on the benefits that you get from the military and for your disability?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I passed the witness, Your Honor.
Go ahead, ma'am.
May I proceed?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Sir, if I may, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you great.
So Brandy is a good mother, right?
Absolutely. She's a very good mother.
And you would never do anything to harm her relationship with your son or your son's relationship with her, right?
No, ma'am, I would not.
Have you said to your son that his mother is left the family for another man?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And when was the first time you said that? Was that in October?
Probably right after she left. I was grieving. I was going through the 5 stages of grief, and I believe that that's normal for a person. I am still hurt.
So you think it's normal to tell your 16-year-old son who has a close, good relationship with his mother, that she left the family to be with another man.
I didn't say that was normal. I said that it's normal for someone to go through grief. Do I regret saying that? Yes, I do. Absolutely.
But you continued to say that in the presence of your son, even after October, didn't you?
No, I didn't continue to say that constantly. No, I told him to stay out of it. I told him that that's his mother, and he's not married to her, and he must respect her and love her unconditionally, no matter what. To stay out of our thing. And
So is it your testimony that you only made that statement to your son one time, and that was in October of 2020?
Ma'am, I can't remember if I said it more than once in October. I just know that I felt bad after saying it, and I had a talk with him and told him that this is between me and his mom, and that he shouldn't get involved in it.
So now you can't remember how many times you may have said that to your son. Is that accurate?
Okay, that's accurate. Yes.
Okay. In fact, you've asked that the judge interview your son today or sometime in the near future, correct?
Well, I believe he should be interviewed because the judge is going to want to know who he wants to live with.
Right. So that's a request that you have made, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you want to tell the court what names you have called Brandy in the presence of Dylan?
In the presence of Dallin, I don't know if I should repeat those in the court, but the
Well-
night that she disappeared and came home, yes, I called her a few names, and I apologized to her and my son for calling her those names. Yes.
So my question to you is, what names did you call Brandy in the presence of your son? What were those names?
Okay, I called her a cheating whore. See you next Tuesday. Every name in the book. I called her. I was mad because she was just smiling at me and wouldn't tell me where she was.
Did you call her the C word?
I called her a see you next Tuesday.
And what was your goal in doing that?
I didn't have I didn't have a goal in doing that. I was upset. There was no goal.
So when the judge interviews your son, is it accurate to say that was sort of a one-time only thing, or something that you've done throughout your relationship with Brandy?
That was the first time in 27 years I have ever spoken to his mother like that. I have always respected her in our marriage, and I apologized to her more than once about talking to her that way.
As recently as a few days ago, you wanted her to come back home, didn't you?
Absolutely. I still love her with all my heart. I absolutely wanted her to come back, but I don't know what else to say about that.
So you mentioned that you saw a picture of your wife. You described it as a partial nude. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
How is it that you have access to what's on her phone?
Okay, well, that one day, my son wanted a new phone from Best Buy, and we were going to trade in our old phones. I turned it on to clear it and saw the email was open. So I looked in the sent folder, and I saw all those pictures she emailed herself. As soon as I told her about it, she changed her password.
So what day was that, sir?
I believe it was in December. I can't remember exactly what day it was in December.
December of 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, there have been times when Brandy has come over to the home to visit with your son, and you've gotten in the car with her and argued with her, correct?
Not argued. I still wanted answers to what was going on, who she was seeing, why she left, and she never wanted to answer me. She called it attacking her, but I called it asking questions.
So she, Brandy, would come over to the marital home to be able to visit with, and forgive me for saying his name wrong. Is it Dylan?
Dallin.
Dallin. So she would come over to visit with Dallin, and you would get in the car, her car, and demand answers about who she was seeing. Is that accurate?
No, that is very inaccurate. She never came over here to visit with Dallin. She came over here to get more clothes or to get her Keurig or to get her wine or something. She never visited with Dallin when she came here.
So it's your testimony that this woman that you've described as a good mother, a loving mother, even a mother that you would have back as your wife, never came over to the house for the purpose of visiting with Dallin, but she only came over to get her stuff. Is that right?
That is absolutely 100% correct.
Tell the court when your mother came into the house to move out Brandy's personal property.
My mother did not move out any of Brandy's personal property. My mother came into the house to visit with me, and she helped rearrange some things, and she took the property that she gave us to make sure that it didn't disappear. She never took any of Brandy's property.
So is it your testimony that your mother came into the marital home and took out property that your mother had given you and Brandy? Is that right?
Yes.
And when did she do that?
New Year's Day.
Does Dallin know that you would like him to visit with the judge?
Yes, he does.
Does Dallin know that we have court going on today?
Yes, he does.
Have you told Dallin that it's his choice as to where he lives?
Yes, I have.
Has Dallin gone with you to any appointments to see your lawyer?
No, he has not.
When did Dallin begin his job at Whataburger?
Wednesday.
And why was the decision made for him to start a job on Wednesday of last week, actually of this week?
That was Whataburger's decision. He started applying for jobs as soon as he turned 16. That's just the first one that hired him.
Have you ever told Dallin that his mother abandoned the family?
I thought we went over this, yes, in October.
How about after October?
Not that I recall.
Do you track your wife on her phone?
No, I do not.
What kind of visitation schedule do you think would be appropriate for you to have with your son and for your wife to have with your son?
I have no visitation schedule. Dallin knows that he can visit with his mother anytime he likes.
So you don't have any set schedule in mind. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Have you talked about your wife's infidelity throughout your 27-year relationship with her?
Yes, I have. With Brandy, I have, yes.
And that's been a continuing theme from the moment that the two of you married, divorced, and got remarried, right?
Absolutely.
And Ms. Whitley, I'm not sure I understood your question there. Would you repeat it or rephrase it?
Sure. Mr. Matula, you have accused your wife of being unfaithful throughout your entire 27-year relationship, correct?
Only when she was unfaithful, correct.
Well, you began accusing her of infidelity early in the relationship, correct?
When she was unfaithful, yes, I accused her of it, and I know the names of who she was with.
And you continued to make these allegations against your wife throughout your marriage to her, correct?
Only whenever it was apparent.
Objection, non-responsive.
All right, Mr. Matula, sometimes the answer to a question is yes, but I need to direct you to answer the question that's put to you. If Mr. Dominguez wants to follow up and ask if there's something else you want to add to that, he'll have an opportunity to do so shortly.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Matula, from the beginning of this relationship until now, your concerns about your wife's infidelity have been ongoing throughout this relationship, correct?
Yes.
And these are concerns that you made known to Dallin, not just in October of 2020, correct?
No. Dallin heard, but I didn't make them known to him.
I'll pass the witness.
Go ahead, sir.
All right. Mr. Matula, your separation and problems that you have right now don't deal about, don't really go back years and years and years. This the incidents that are occurring at the present time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you say you have talked to your wife about it, but she doesn't really answer you.
Correct.
Do you have what else do you have? I mean, you have this receipt that you've shown to us and your conversations with her. But she still denies everything.
Yes.
Now, one comment you had made, I believe, is that your wife turns off her phone quite a bit.
Yes, she does. She turns it off. She turns it off and then she turns it back on. She thinks that I'm tracking her phone, but I don't. If I was tracking her phone, obviously I would have, have more evidence, but it doesn't, I don't really think that any of it matters anymore.
Tracking her phone or all that type of thing. It doesn't matter.
I'm not tracking her phone, but I know when she turns it off and turns it on because it's on my phone bill. I've tried 3 times to transfer the billing responsibility of her phone to her so that I didn't see it, and she's denied it all 3 times.
All right. Now, just for clarification on my part, all the things that you told your wife, these ugly things you have told her, that was back in October?
What things are you talking about?
Well, yeah, what you said, a cheating whore.
Oh, yes. That was right before she moved out, when she disappeared and came home late and wouldn't tell me where she was. And she said I should know I was tracking her, but I don't know because I'm not tracking her. That's why I was asking.
Okay. All right. So for the most part, you still have the same testimony. You want to stay at the house with your son, and you have nowhere to go if the judge were to remove you from the house.
That is correct.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have for Mr. Matula at this time, Your Honor.
Very briefly, Judge, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
How many times, Mr. Matula, would you say your wife has been over to the marital home since October of 2020?
Maybe 5, 6 times at most.
And during those 5 or 6 times, did she ever pick up Dallin and leave with him?
I think once to go to Chili's, and I'm not sure I think maybe twice, maybe at most.
During those 5 or 6 times, did he ever stay overnight with his mom?
No, except for when he went to Thanksgiving at her dad's in Bay City.
And is that because you agreed that he could stay overnight in Bay City with the grandfather there?
Absolutely, yes.
Is it your testimony that your wife didn't want to see Dallin during this time?
Didn't want to see him? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me. I can't testify to her thoughts.
Do you believe that from October until now, your wife only wanted to see Dallin 5 or 6 times?
Ma'am, I'm just going by what happened. She only saw him that many times as far as that goes, other than picking him up from school on Mondays and Wednesdays and dropping him off at the house for that first month and a half that she was gone. That's the what she spent with him.
And finally, during those 5 or 6 times that she was over at the marital home, how many of those times did it end in an argument between you and your wife?
There was never an argument between us when she came over here. It was me asking her questions and her saying that I'm attacking her, and that's it. There was no arguments, no fighting.
But all of those questions were in front of Dallin, right?
No, they were not.
All right, thank you. Nothing further.
All right. Any other witnesses?
Not on our part, Your Honor, other than our request for Dallin to speak with the judge.
Okay, Ms. Whitley.
I call Brandy Matula.
All right, Ms. Patullo, were you able to get your video unsorted?
No, sir, I'm not. I tried troubleshooting it. I do apologize for that. I'm not sure what happened. It in the box on the screen, it doesn't give me the options to unclick it with the red line. And I do have a camera and it does work on my computer, and I don't understand why it's not doing it now. I do apologize.
Okay, do you have a little slidey cover on a laptop that you need to slide over?
What do you mean by that, sir?
Actually, it says hide non-video participants. I have an option, so probably not. Lots of modern laptops, there's a little cover you can slide over so that it physically blocks your camera. And I've had people who had their camera on, but it was just taking a picture of the inside of the piece of plastic that blocked the camera. So, but again, I get the hide non-video participant option with you. So you do not have a video. So, all right.
Do you want me to click on that hide non-video participants? Would that make it come on then?
You don't get that. I get that because I'm the host. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Whitley.
Okay, please state your full name for the record.
Brandy Lee Matula.
Do you have one minor child?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an opportunity to review the respondents exhibit 1 through 5?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, you've listened to your husband's testimony, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he being truthful with the court?
Somewhat.
Okay. Can you tell the court what your reason for separation in October of 2020 was?
His obsessive behavior, constantly tracking everything that I do, accusing me of sleeping with 20 million men. He doesn't help out around the house. It was every day that I came home, it was constant. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect when I come home every day. He has anger management issues. He flies off the handle real easily. He loses control of his anger.
Do you know, Brandy, I know he gets VA disability. Do you know what the VA disability is?
As far as what the amount?
No,
or what it is?
What the condition is.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the condition?
They gave it to him for migraines, fibromyalgia, a percentage loss of hearing in his ear. And there's just a couple of other things that are listed in there that they just added up and went ahead and just made him a disability.
Dallin also receives Social Security, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Since October of 2020, have you received any of that Social Security?
No, ma'am.
Is it accurate that you obtained and kept the economic stimulus check?
Yes, ma'am, and it's in my savings account, both Dallin's and Glenn's.
Why did you keep it?
To make it go through the court legally, not just hand it over to him. I needed to show that I did give it to them because we're in the process of a divorce.
Is it accurate to say that this obsessive behavior by your husband occurred throughout your relationship with him?
Yes, ma'am, for 27 years.
And what do you mean by that, for 27 years?
I've always been accused of cheating. He's always investigated everything I do, accused me of things. I just don't know what to expect on each day's different. I don't know what to expect, ma'am. It's,
Your husband made these allegations about you in the presence of Dallin?
yes, ma'am.
And has it been occasionally or often?
It's quite often. And he's also done it in front of our daughter. She's fully aware of everything too.
Can you tell the court in, let's say, the 6 months before the separation in October of 2020, how often would your husband accuse you of infidelity in the presence of Dallin?
With him being in our home, it's an everyday thing, just about.
And what would your husband say about these accusations?
He would just go on about saying these people's name, these guys' names. He would talk about how he's seen the phone bill and I'm texting this person and I'm texting that person. And then he would say that he sees it on the phone bill, that I'm texting him at this time of night and I don't see how I could possibly be doing that when I'm sleeping, that his times are off on the bill. It's just a given.
And can you take it anymore, Brandy?
No, ma'am. I'm done.
Part of the reason why you moved out in October of 2020.
It's 100% the reason why I left.
Now, you heard your husband say that you're a good mother, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that he begged you to come back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you believe your husband's conduct has affected your relationship with Dallin?
It has affected it a lot because I have picked my son up from school in the afternoons. I was doing it Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And there was times where he's made me cry because he says, well, Dad had told me that he walked in on you and another man in bed. And I'm like, excuse me, I don't think so. And I don't know why he would be telling you that. And I confronted my husband about it. And then he said no such thing. And then there was another time when me and my son had discussed me taking him out to eat for his birthday and that we agreed upon that we would go together for his birthday. And he made me cry because he says he couldn't prioritize somebody prioritize me over somebody he lives with. And he has also mentioned names of people, of guys, because he's heard my husband say the names of these men because he's
Senator, I'm sorry. I've allowed a lot of hearsay to come in, but I'm going to object to the hearsay now because it's just continuous. And I'll ask, I believe the court will talk to the youngster here anyway. But I object to all the hearsay.
Ms. Whitley?
Well, she's already stated it. It's already on the record, so that objection's waived, in my opinion.
All right. I'll just direct you to move on and I'll direct you to move on.
Now, Brandy, we have to do this in a question and answer format, okay? So you can't just talk on for several paragraphs, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, after October of 2020, did you go over to the marital home to visit with Dallin?
Yes, ma'am.
And what would happen when you would go over to the marital home to visit with Dallin?
I would have to deal with my husband getting in my face and accusing me of things and making it very unpleasant for me to be there.
And what do you mean getting in your face and accusing you of things? What would he say?
He would be slamming doors or he'd walk around being angry and trying to make me confess to him to an affair, or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Just constantly questioning me and standing over me as I'm just trying to walk about the house. And it was just.
Was Dallin present for this?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're asking the court to allow you to live in the marital home, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And for you to be able to be the parent who determines primary residence for Dallin, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think you need to do in order to repair your relationship with Dallin?
Spend more time with him.
Okay.
Show him that he's very loved and cared for.
Did you even know that he had taken a job at Whataburger?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you supportive of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you met with Dallin, just the two of you recently?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that?
Last night,
What did you tell him?
I told him that I missed him and that I loved him, and I just wanted him to know that I do love him, and I was very proud of him for going out and getting a job all on his own.
Do you think your relationship is at a critical stage right now with Dallin?
Yes, ma'am.
And why do you believe that?
Because of all the arguments and stuff that his father and I have had between each other and the things that he has seen going on in the home.
So I'm going to look at with you petitioners 2. Now, is it accurate that petitioners 2 is a text exchange between you and your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
And on the left-hand side, is that your husband talking?
Yes, ma'am.
And on the right-hand side, that's you talking?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was in about November of 2020, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you tell the court if this is typical of the way your husband talks to you?
All the time, ma'am.
And what is important in your mind about this particular text exchange in respondents 2?
He's telling me to answer my phone. He's trying to accuse me of having a backup phone, and he's trying to force me to answer my phone. And I wasn't answering it because I didn't want to be attacked by his accusations.
Do you believe he is tracking you?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your evidence for that?
He claims, he looks at the phone bill. When a number pops up on it, he goes and finds the name to that number and accuses me of sleeping with this person. And he knows when I turn my phone off.
And how do you know he knows when you turn your phone on and off?
Because he's told me in text messages.
If you look at respondents 3, is that an email exchange between you and your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
And is he telling you, I see you turned off your phone at 6:07 a.m. this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in your opinion, what is it that your husband was trying to tell you in respondents 3?
That he's watching me.
Petitioners 4 is a summary of your income and expenses, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you will go to page 3, and let me know when you're there, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about that. Let me know when you're there.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, your minimum payment on all of your credit cards is how much?
$947.
And are all those credit cards in your name only?
Yes, ma'am.
Were all the purchases for the family?
Yes, ma'am.
You would ask the court to allow you to move back into the home and continue receiving the $880 from your husband, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would ask that your husband be ordered to pay also the mortgage, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have concerns about how much your husband has involved Dallin in this litigation?
100%. Yes, ma'am.
And what are your specific concerns about that?
I would like to leave him out of it and let me and his dad sort this out and have him not know what's going on between us, other than that me and his dad just can't live together happily and just not involving.
Do you think that Glenn is capable of doing that?
Of allowing him not to be involved?
Right. Do you believe that Glenn is capable of separating his own grief from your relationship with Dallin?
No, ma'am.
Do you think he needs to be ordered to attend some sort of parenting class to get that in order?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to co-parent right this minute with Glenn? Can y'all make decisions together?
Hopefully, yes.
But have you been able to since October?
No, ma'am.
Does Glenn show any level of respect to you?
No, ma'am. Sometimes he does.
Okay. Has Glenn ever threatened to kill you?
I've been told by people that he has.
What is
I'm
it?
sorry. I'm sorry. I've been trying to object and I was muted. Objection, Your Honor, hearsay and leading.
I'll sustain the objection on hearsay.
Is Dallin a good academic student?
Yes, ma'am.
Does he have any medical needs or problems that need to be addressed?
No, ma'am.
Does he take any medication?
No, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Go ahead, sir.
Ms. Matula, I know you can't see me, but my name is Abel Dominguez and I represent your husband. But anyway, one of the exhibits that you referred to a few minutes ago is exhibit number 3. And where your husband sent you an email saying that he saw that you had turned your phone off. Do you have that in front of you?
I'm pulling it up right now, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I have it pulled up.
All right. Can you read the whole thing?
It says, I see you turned off your phone at 6:07 a.m. this morning. How was your son supposed to contact you? You turned it off between 12:20 and 2:20 p.m. last Thursday as well. I'm not tracking you and don't care who you are meeting for lunch. I forgave you and I am okay.
Okay. So he's, for the most part, asking you about turning your phone off. And I'm sorry, what's the date on this?
It is January 4th of 2021, sir.
Okay. Now, for the most part, he's asking you, but he's also telling you, I forgive you, I'm okay with this. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you didn't feel threatened in any way with that, did you?
Yes, because he's tracking me.
You
And
think he was, I'm sorry, go ahead.
he has also sent me other emails where he threatens me about my phone and attacking me with my phone is turned off and on. So this is not the only occasion.
Okay.
There's other emails.
All right. What exactly do you mean by attacking you?
Where he's always accusing me of cheating, being somewhere when I'm not home when I am.
All right. We were exchanging emails, and I believe it's already been admitted to the court. I had provided exhibit number 2, which has already been admitted to evidence. It's a credit card statement, your credit card statement from the 7th of November for Alaska USA Federal Credit Union. There was a charge in there for Comfort Suites. That was for your dad, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the other one on the 16th, Days in Elmendorf, right down the street from where your brother lives. What was that all about?
That was for a friend.
Okay. Who is the friend?
That would be Ernest
Ernest what?
San Miguel.
You rented a hotel room for him,
Yes, sir.
and why?
Because he's having some same marital problems as well as I am, and we've been friends for a long time.
Stay there with him.
No, sir.
Did you show up there
Yes, sir.
to obviously to get the room, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you didn't spend any time with him?
Visited with him. Yes, sir.
Okay. For how long?
Maybe a few hours.
Okay. Are you involved were you involved romantically at that time with him?
Yes.
Okay. Sexually?
Yes.
Okay. Um, is there any other man that you've been involved with recently?
No, sir.
Okay. Just Ernest?
Yes, sir.
Are you still involved with him?
Yes, sir.
Does your son know him?
No, sir.
Okay. Um, all right. Your exhibit number 4, where you have and I'm sorry, I already lost it here. Your expense sheet, I believe.
Yes, sir.
The total amount of expenses and such that you have comes out to $4,886.68.
Yes, sir.
But that includes your home and utilities where you're not living right now.
Yes, that includes the mortgage where my son is right now.
Okay, and utilities at the house also, right?
Yes, sir.
And also internet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but most of these expenses, if not all of them, are in the event that you are living at the house. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But if you're not living at the house, you don't have all these expenses. It doesn't amount to $4,886.
No,
It's a
sir.
lot less.
Yes, sir.
Okay. One thing we didn't ask is what kind of dad is Glenn to Dallin?
He's a good dad. He just has anger issues that he needs to sort through.
Okay. And these anger issues, do you think some of that is because he became aware that you were having an affair with Ernest San Miguel?
No, sir. He's been like this for a long time.
All
Well
right.
before.
Okay. Would you say that both you and Glenn have done very best to raise a good boy here
Yes, sir. We've tried. Or still trying.
and a good daughter too, right?
Yes, sir.
I passed the witness, Charlie.
Go ahead, ma'am. And then, thank you.
Brandy, was your relationship romantic with this gentleman prior to October of 2020?
No, ma'am.
Do you think the fact that you have had a relationship with a man after you separated means you're not a good mother?
No, ma'am.
Do you have concerns about your husband sharing this information with Dallin?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your specific concern about that?
That my son doesn't need to know who I'm with or what I'm doing, or having an affair, so that way he can side with his dad.
Do you have concerns about your husband harassing Ernest?
Yes.
But Ernest is an adult and he can take care of himself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you asking the court for an order prohibiting your husband from making any kind of disparaging remarks to Dallin about this in particular?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you think that's important for Dallin's safety and welfare?
Yes, ma'am, 100%.
Nothing further, Judge.
Nothing additional, Your Honor.
All right. Does the petitioner rest?
Petitioner rests, Your Honor. Other than our request for Dallin to be interviewed. Yes, we rest.
Okay, all right. Ms. Whitley?
I rest.
Okay, how long is it going to take, would it take to get Dallin available?
I don't know where he's at right now, Your Honor. Mr. Matula, did you hear the judge's question?
5 minutes. I could have him. I could have him available in 5 minutes.
Okay, and where would he be?
In his room.
Okay, where is he now?
In his room.
Okay, and does he have his own electronic device to sign on with? Or?
Yes, Your Honor, he does.
All right, and before we do that, I'd like to hear Mr. Matula's response or explanation for the string of text messages that were put into evidence. That's Respondent's Exhibit number 2.
Yes, Your Honor. Exhibit number 2. Let me look at that real quick. Exhibit number 2. That's whenever I know that she had some way of talking to Ernest since she moved out, and I had thought that she had gotten a backup phone. She actually took pictures of herself holding a backup phone. So because there was no phone calls made from her phone to that motel room on that day to book that room or anything. So she had some way of contacting him. So I wanted her to admit to me to the affair. She was talking to Ernest way before she left in October, and that's what brought me onto it. That's what I asked her about. And whenever I pressed the issue, she moved out. I knew that this was going on before October, and I was upset.
All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing else from me, Judge.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Right, and are the parties working together on looking at whether they have equity or they're upside down on all of these assets that are being paid for?
I don't believe we've gone that far,
Okay,
but Ms. Whitley and I can talk about these things and what's in there.
all right, then if you will get Dallin Matula on the Zoom meeting, Ms. Cavazos and I will meet with him in a breakout room.
Yes, sir.
Judge, do you want us just to mute ourselves until you come back? And
Well, no, I will go to the breakout room. I won't be able to see her here, so you can do whatever.
okay.
Okay, are you Dallin Matula? And Mr. Matula, you're muted. I'm asking you to unmute your iPhone.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Right. And Mr. Matula, I'm Judge Wilson. As you know, your parents have a dispute going on over a number of things, including where you're going to be staying and who you'll be staying with for some time in the future. I'm going to meet with you about that in just a moment with my court reporter, Ms. Cavazos. I'm going to take all of us to what's called a breakout room. And what that is it's a electronic room that we go to that's separate, that we'll be able to speak over there confidentially. There'll be nobody else except just the three of us in that room. And
Yes.
we'll speak for a little bit of time and then we'll come back. And I'll talk to you about more about what exactly we're doing when we get over there.
Yes, sir.
All right, so did you get a invitation to a breakout room?
Yes, sir. Do I join it?
Please.
Okay.
Okay, I will be back. All right, Ms. Whitley, if you'll let me know when you're back.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
All right, I had a chance to speak to Dallin Matula. He's a very well-spoken, polite young man. Both parents are to be congratulated. So we have anything, other evidence or argument?
No, Your Honor.
I do not.
All right, give me a moment.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back. Okay, are the parties available on?
Ms. Matula is present.
Yes, I'm present.
I'm present.
All right, I've listened to the evidence in this case carefully. I've read the pleadings. I've come to a decision. I'm a little torn in this case because I think that just the issues that the parties have between themselves are not ones that, not that there's ever much that the judge can do to fix things, but I think that this is a particular case of it's hard for the judge to find something to do. But what I will do is and I've posted this in chat, just notes about it. I've appointed the parties joint managing conservators. On temporary orders at least, I will allow the father, Glenn Matula, to determine the residence of the child, and also give him the exclusive rights that you typically have to make educational decisions and the like. I'll award Mrs. Matula or Brandy Matula standard possession or extended, if that's what she elects. I will not order any child support at this time. I will let the Social Security on temporary orders go and be in lieu of child support. Mr. Matula is ordered to keep paying the medical support providing medical support for the child. Paragraphs 6 through 11 of the respondents' proposed or respondents' request for relief are all adopted. On number 12, I'm awarding temporarily Mr. Matula the exclusive use of the marital home, but I'm on the 12A, I'm ordering him by the 30th of the month to make sure that whatever it was that was community property that his mother removed be returned. Approve 13 through 16. And then I added a 17 and an 18. I'll say that the Toyota Tacoma goes with the child for right now, and Mr. Matula, his vehicle. I'm ordering the child and both the parents to have at least one visit with some sort of divorce or custody specialist. And I'll take guidance from the attorneys. If you can't come to an agreement, I hope you can, on who that might be appropriate to be. I'm going to order Mr. Matula to successfully complete a parenting class. And by parenting class, I mean on how the parents get along. I put Brandy Matula the same. And I agree with Ms. Whitley that there's some alienation between the child and his mother, although he certainly loves his mother, but I think that it may not be exactly for the reasons his mother believes, and that it could be that it's rather more longstanding than just something that's popped up since October. On temporary orders, I will order Mr. Matula to pay Brandy Matula temporary support of $900 a month. And because she has all the expenses of setting up another place for right now, I'm allowing her to retain the stimulus check for both spouses. If there was money that was meant to be for Dallin, that needs to go to Mr. Matula for Dallin. And I don't know, there may be other large assets here. My suspicion is that the parties are going to be very much upside down. So, I mean, that's not, we have to resolve that today, but I'm going to encourage the folks, both sides, to get your documents together and decide either what's going to happen or what the issues are as far as dividing up your property and your debts. You've put yourselves in a deep hole, it looks to me, and like I said, unless there's a bunch of other assets that I'm not aware of, running out and buying a 16-year-old a brand new pickup truck, or almost brand new pickup truck. That sort of thing makes it very difficult to come up with any kind of an equitable division of the property and the debts. And I understand that the disability, my understanding, is not divisible. I don't know if part of that is for family, if part of that would go for child support or what, but I'll let the attorneys worry about that. So do you want an opportunity to talk right now, or do you want to confer later about what sort of classes everybody needs to be taking? And I know sometimes therapists can help and sometimes they don't. I'm not trying to get everybody signed on to a lifetime plan of perpetual therapy, but I do want everybody to meet with someone and to use the jargon to try and get some tools to use to get through this as best it can be done. So if the attorneys want a chance to confer offline, I mean, in a breakout room about that, or do you want me just to give you a entry date?
Perhaps an entry date, Your Honor.
I,
Mr. Dominguez, how much time do you need?
Just give me 2 weeks, that's all.
Right.
I'll have it to Ms. Wheatley.
yeah, that's fine with me, Judge.
Okay, how about the 16th? That's a little over 2 weeks, but
Yes, sir. What time?
9 a.m.
Perfect.
It should be fine, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll be taking off in just a minute. Yeah, I'll take off in just a minute. They're about to come and start fumigating, so I've got to take off
Okay.
pretty quickly. I just want to say to the parents, you've got a very good young man you've raised so far. You're going to spend a lot of time at graduations and family picnics and barbecues and Christmas and stuff, on baby showers, looking at each other. Try to get through this as best you can. Mr. Matula, there's the comments that you made, about basically taking everybody down financially are completely inappropriate. I understand that you were angry, but that can't be the attitude you're going to take in the future, especially if you want to remain in the family residence. I'm not doing that in the expectation that you're going to be trashing the place. I'm doing that in the expectation that you're going to take proper care of it, especially if y'all are winding up having to sell it. And Mrs. Matula, I want you to make sure that you work with Dallin and with the therapists, and consider that the issues between you and your husband have certainly affected the relationship you have with your son, but there's other things going on there that you need to address that I think would be going on even if this thing hadn't have blown up. So I hope that both of y'all can get those worked out. And just let the clients know, the attorneys will explain this to you, but no one needs to be here on the 16th if this has been reduced to writing and you're not being asked. If they ask you to sign something, if you agree with it, you're only being asked if you agree that whatever Mr. Dominguez has drawn up is what I have ordered. Okay, so if you have that agreed to, just e-file it. Nobody needs to be here on the 16th. Otherwise, I will see you all on the 16th.
Very well, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Anything else before we end the meeting?
We're off the record, right?
Well, not really. Let me stop the YouTube. We're